After finishing Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty, I'm still feeling in a great place about the game, despite its original flaws and the journey it's had up to now. It's an incredible experience and firmly in the top 5 of my best games I've ever played. But it's time to look towards the future. With Phantom Liberty being the big final content drop of the game, we can turn our attention towards the next title in the series, codename Orion. This is going to be the next title within the Cyberpunk series. CDPR have said they want to continue the IP, so in this video I want to take a look at some of the changes or features I would love to see added in Cyberpunk 2. So let's jump in. The skill tree in the 2.0 update is one of the best changes to the system that we had from when the game actually launched. But even with the amount of time that I've spent with the tree, making some builds, especially putting it out on the channel, I would like to see it expanded on a little bit more. Some of the passives on the tree are really nice, but I do think that I'd like to see more nodes, like big nodes, connecting different parts of the tree, so we can get access to more special moves, such as more Mantis Blade skills, or Gorilla Arms, or Mono Wire. An idea that I have had is for the ability to puncture an enemy with a Mantis Blade and then run forward with them on your blade and throw them at an enemy and essentially use them like a human shield. Likewise, if you were using the Gorilla Arms, you could pick someone up by the face, seeing as you're so strong, and then basically hold them in front of you and get yourself a human shield there, and then slam them into the ground. Just these extra things that you could potentially add, and that's just an idea that I have had. What about being able to jump with the Mantis Blades and pounce off an enemy, leap off them parkour style onto another enemy? It's all theory, but this is the potential that I think is there. A rework to some of the gun skills would also be really nice as well, because a lot of the net running options and melee options feel more fleshed out in this tree, and I'd like to see some more special effects like we have with the finishers and such on the melee. And imagine this, we have the ability to have a Deadeye ability that's very much like Red Dead Redemption, where you can target a bunch of enemies in the head and you basically stop time for a moment, or it just basically allows you to quickly fire at these shots off. Yeah, you can use other things such as a Sandeva stand and stuff, but it'd be nice to see these added elements to the gunplay within the game. There isn't anything wrong with the current expansions version, the 2.0 version of it, but this would be an amazing addition to add to the skill tree if you were to advance it going into the sequel. On top of that, I do think that there could be a really interesting possibility that, now imagine you could have 20 cool and 20 tech, and when you get those requirements hit, it opens up a additional relic style tree that you can only access from getting those 2 stat points to that amount, and then that will unlock some really cool extra effects that you can use, and it would just open up options there and add a little bit more depth to this current version. It wouldn't expand it too much, but it means that if you heavily invest into 2 skills, then you can be rewarded with it. I 100% think that this would open up build crafting and add more gameplay options, but that's entirely down to how I see this specific option. And just to add one extra specific thing, the ability to have a free respec would be so much better than what we have currently in the game. I am using a mod on PC that allows me to respec a lot, but you only get 1 free respec in the game at the moment with the 2.0 update, and I would much like to see that added to the game. This may not seem big on the grand scheme of things, but finishers are one of the best aspects of combat within Cyberpunk, and I think my only gripe with it is that I want more of them. More dismemberments, more creative ways that you can kill enemies, especially with a variety of weapons that we have at our disposal. And as I proposed before, if we hit a certain amount of points or skills, or have another skill tree that links things, and you have a gun skill and a melee skill, imagine you can unlock gun finishers. For example, we have right now where you can hold E when you get 20 body to pick up an enemy and just throw them. Imagine you had the ability to do that, and you could do a finisher, which would just be a normal finisher with whatever weapon you have equipped, or you can hold E and a gun that you have equipped does a specific finisher. Now, it does make not a lot of sense when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. You just use your guns to like instantly delete people, but it could add that extra gun fu element to the game, which I think would be really neat, and I'd love to see them implement into the game. While Cyberpunk's offerings for loot are pretty cool, I can't help but wonder what we could add to the game that could improve it. For example, iconics are really cool at the moment, the variety of effects that you can have on them, but I feel like we're missing some key weapons like rockets or a wider variety of explosive options with potential attachments. For example, on an assault rifle, you can get yourself a grenade option, which allows you to fire them, or just something added with the specific guns in the game, and then some extra range options like, for example, a cyberpunk bow or throwable ninja stars or like a boomerang or something crazy that is really unique but obviously makes sense within the game world. Adding more weapons could fill out the loot pool and add more options and more playstyles for players to engage with. If you can remember back to the early development of Cyberpunk, the mantis blades are actually going to allow you to hang off walls, and then there was something that they were doing, it just didn't make sense for the game, and they eventually had to cancel doing that system. And it got me thinking, what if we actually had some updates to the traversal and movement systems within the game? Wall running, grapple hooks are probably one of the most obvious that you could go with. Hanging onto walls with blades could add on a whole bunch of stealth options as well. More vertical climbing, like pipes that you can get hold of, so you can drop down from a ceiling and drop onto people. Like, picture this. You have a Sandevistan, you run into a room, you wall run into the room, jump off the wall with the mantis blades out, pounce onto an enemy, slam them down. It would be so goddamn cool to be able to do that. And I'm sure there are many other options that you could probably think of that I haven't thought about in this video. So make sure you tell me down in the comment section, because I'd like to know what you would like to see within the movement system in the game. With the 2.0 update, the car system within the game, the driving, the firing weapons out of the car was a very decent upgrade, but I would love to see an improvement to the cars in the game in terms of customization and power. Like, we are in the future with flying vehicles and advanced technology, and you're telling me we can't add a lick of paint to our cars or nitro boosters to our cars? This would mean they have to change potentially how the city is designed to accommodate to it. But I think it was always at the forefront of my mind whenever I was driving around Night City. Imagine if I had some NOS here or something kind of crazy with the vehicle weapons. It would be something to improve upon. Just a small update to the game. It doesn't have to be crazy, and I think this could really add a lot more depth, especially when people that get attached to driving around their car so much within Night City. Besides specific story missions, one of the most underutilized aspects of Cyberpunk is the cyberspace. And I think one of the ways that it could be implemented into the game more is having combat, stealth, and movement trials or simulations in the game. This could be a good way to unlock some new weapons or unique weapons, give you XP, perk points, that type of thing. And I think it could allow for some interesting gameplay scenarios for players to test out their skills or even teach players a little bit more, because we get a little bit of it right at the start of the game with Jackie giving us like the tutorial, but an added element of it could be pretty cool. Like, imagine having a max tax scenario where you can test out a build and then take it into the real world as well. It would be really interesting. I think it's a really missed opportunity in Cyberpunk 2077, and it could be even better in the sequel. The last feature is really obvious, and that is New Game Plus. Now, I know in the main game, it doesn't really make sense within the narrative for there to be a New Game Plus or jumping back in, but I really would like to see what they could do or how CDPR would implement it going forward, because I think a lot of players would like New Game Plus to be able to test out things And imagine in New Game Plus, it unlocks like another relic tree that you can just get, or you're in like another simulation of some kind, something story related, or it doesn't even have to be story related at all. It could just be, oh, here you go, here's a New Game Plus, and you can basically play the game again. You don't have to get like New Game Plus, like 11, all that type of stuff. It could just be once that you get to go through again. You get a new level cap, a new tier of loot, like maybe 6 instead of 5 plus plus. Which is something that I think players would enjoy doing. I definitely wanted it within Cyberpunk. I probably would have continued playing even longer than I already have, and I think it's just kind of a given, and maybe they'll implement it in future, but who knows. But those are just a few ideas that I had for upgrades or new things that they could add into the next Cyberpunk sequel. Now, it's not going to be for a very, very long time, so they have announced that there's a bunch of other Witcher projects, and also the codename Orion isn't going to be for a while. So yeah, this is just me like hopeful thinking, and I wanted to make another Cyberpunk video. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section some changes or features that you would like to see in Cyberpunk in the future. And as always, thank you very much for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like on it, subscribe if you are new, and turn on the notification bell as always. And this has been It's Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.